Good to connect with you all again. I'm hoping that spring break was really refreshing, that you've been able to get outside, and as long as you're maintaining the appropriate distance with people, and that things are going well for you. I had a good spring break. Got the chance to spend some time with some friends and family, or actually mostly just family. And yeah, I'm feeling recharged and ready to go for the rest of the year. You might have heard at this point that we will not be meeting up again in person for the rest of this school year, which is a little bit of a bummer. Just in case I don't see you in the flesh again, and I'll say it every single day. I've so much enjoyed having you all in my class this year, and am a little bit bummed out that we didn't get to finish on the right note. But I'm really excited for what we're going to do in the coming weeks as we kind of finish up learning about JavaScript, which, as you can tell by the goals for the next 2 weeks portion on top, take about if you do want to connect, if you need anything, if you have any questions, or if you're just feeling a little bit cooped up at home, feel free to drop by my office hours in the coming days from 2 to 4 o'clock. A lot of students drop by just to chat, and I'd love to connect with any of you who have the time. Before we left for our spring break, we were learning how to write code in JavaScript to make websites that have interactive buttons. That's going to be what we continue working on for the next 2 weeks. We're also going to add in some components next week where we'll learn how to change some elements of a website depending on user inputs. So I want to see if you can figure out how to change a website in particular, depending on what the person on the front is going to say. And that's going to help out a lot with app design and creating apps because, of course, apps like the ones on your phone react to the ways that you in particular. Looking at this website, we're going to, at my Haiku site, we're going to start out with our bell work assignment for today that you can go ahead and click on, and it'll open up a Google form for you. It looks a little bit like this. There's some code for a website here with 3 doors and a button, which tells you that one of the doors has a prize. And on the right, there's some JavaScript code that will change the door with the prize behind it to surprise. The door was behind here the whole time. There are 3 questions to answer on this page. I'm going to go over these in just a minute, but I'd like you to go ahead and answer them and submit your answers so I have an idea of where you're at before we move on to this point. Go ahead and pause the video now, and whenever you've finished answering your 3 bell work questions, you can continue on. All right, now that you've answered the 3 questions on here, our first question, I'm going to actually pull up the actual website version of this, which looks a little bit like this. I've got 3 doors, the red door, the blue door, and the green door. We said that one of them has a prize behind it. So question number 1 was, what is the function name? This was the most missed question on last week's assignment about functions in JavaScript. The number 1 answer, most common answer, was button. Button is not the name of the function. That's the type of tag that we got here. The second answer was onClick. OnClick is not the name of the function. OnClick is our code that tells us that we're going to need a function that runs whenever we click on this button. In fact, the name of our function here today is reveal answer. And our code, second question, asks why it showed up in 2 places. Well, what 2 places it showed up in? We've got our call of this function over here. And we've got our function definition over to the right in JavaScript. Last time, where it's named reveal answer. And now when my button is pushed, because it says onClick equals reveal answer over here, whatever line of code is between our 2 squiggly brackets, going to run over here on the right. Now, our question said, which of our 3 doors has the prize behind it, and how can you tell? If you're at home, feel free to give yourself a little drum roll. I want to hear myself right now. And when we push this door, we find out that the green door is in fact the correct answer. Now, how could we have told this before actually looking at our button? Well, you'll notice that ID equals green is in my header for the green door. And when I go over to my JavaScript code, it says get element by ID green. You're able to match up our ID names here by putting in its ID name on the right. We told it which one to change. And this is probably the most common error that I see when I look at JavaScript code, is the person not changing the correct ID name with their JavaScript. If you feel comfortable with that, give yourself a pat on the back, and you're probably pretty good on the basics of JavaScript. If not, you might want to come to office hours today to ask a little bit about how to change specific lines of code using this function. Now, I want to make some notes over here on the right. Our kind of new instruction for today is very brief, and it asks you to think a little bit about how you would explain what your code is doing. We said that the function name is reveal answer, right? Maybe I want to write that as a reminder to myself over here on the right. We also said this thing changes the green door. So it has the prize message underneath it. Now you'll notice when I try to make these notes to myself in JavaScript, remind myself what's going on here, I get this little red error in the bottom right-hand corner. And that's because it's a syntax error. This isn't JavaScript code, is it? This is English. This thing changes the green door. This function, I should say. Changes the green door so it has the prize message underneath it. And then it lights up blue because it thinks I'm defining a function here. So the question is, how can I make notes to myself in the code to explain what something does? And the answer is we have something called comments. You might have seen these the other day, before spring break on our last assignment, where I made some notes about what to do in a specific section with what's called a comment. A comment is basically a way of writing in English in your code that you can remember what it does if you get up early, or I get up and have to come back and look at it later, or if you want to tell somebody else what it's doing, which is what we're going to do a lot of. All you have to do to make a simple one-line comment is to go to the beginning of your line and make 2 forward slashes. Now notice it doesn't comment out anything that's below there. Just anything I write on this line in particular will be blue from here on out. So I could make entirely one-line comments if I wanted to. To comment things out and to show what the function does. But occasionally, I might have a little bit longer message like this function changes the green door so it has the prize message underneath it. The prize was hidden behind it all along. It accesses the ID name green. Okay, maybe we want to make an entire paragraph to ourselves to describe what something does. Rather than go and comment out every single line, what we can do instead is go to the top of this comment and do a little slash and then a star. And you'll notice that everything on the page turns blue because right now, everything after this is commented out. This is what's called a multi-line comment. And it is a way for us to put a little bit longer message in there. Now, right now, basically what happens when you make a comment is your code is no longer reading anything that's in this kind of dark blue. And so now my function doesn't exist anymore, and now my button's not going to work. So what I need to do is I need to end the comment before I start my JavaScript code again, which I do by doing the reverse of what I did to start it. I put a little star and then a slash. And now I have a message that reminds me what my function does. I've got my function code right below me, and I'm pretty much good to go. If you want a little bit of a review on Java on comments, I have a link, number 3, on the agenda for today that has some examples of comments on it. Look at if it's helpful. because you're going to have to use them on today's assignment. I'm going to expect some comments on there, and I want you to try it out. So, what are we up to today beyond our bell work? I really want to see if you can make interactive web pages in the way that you've learned to do so far. And I thought it would be relevant to help out a group that is really undergoing some major changes right now and is probably in need of our help. Halfway between Heron and Riverside is the IU Methodist Hospital, one of about 6 hospitals, I think, in the IU health system. The other big ones downtown are Greeley Children's Hospital and also the IU University Medical Center, where the medical school is and the doctors are trained. And this is the biggest health system in Indiana. It's literally like 3 blocks away from Heron. You can tell this thing's massive, and it's taken on a lot of patients, in particular lately because of the coronavirus outbreak. Um, a lot of medical institutions are really being changed by the coronavirus outbreak and are having to rely on computers in ways that they haven't before in order to handle them. The good news about the IU Health system is they're actually doing pretty well as far as coronavirus patients go so far. A lot of like hospitals and intensive care units around the country are overflowing with patients. Right now, IU is able to handle pretty much all of the patients that are coming in with coronavirus from around the state. But of course, it's this highly infectious, contagious disease that has the danger of getting a lot of other people sick. And because of that, they can't see normal patients. They can't see people who are getting pulled in normal ways and need antibiotics. They can't see people for their checkups. They can't see people who have maybe chronic conditions like thyroid problems or diabetes and need regular um, check-ins. And so they're having to ask this question of how do I see all of my normal patients at a point where I can't have them in the hospital around people who are really sick. And so much sooner than maybe expected, they've had to translate to what's called telehealth, or a virtual doctor's business, and give patients ways of getting medical care from the comfort of their home at a time when they can't leave it. And honestly, they're looking for a lot of help in doing this. This is something that a lot of hospital systems throughout the country are looking to do in the midst of the coronavirus. And I figured, heck, we're a bunch of savvy computer science students who have a lot of great ideas. Wonder if we could help start this process and spur some ideas. So our goal for today is actually to create a website for the IU health system that serves the role of a virtual doctor. The assignment that I'm looking at right now, you can find by clicking on port number 4. And there are 4 requirements for this assignment. First things first, you'll make a new CodePen file. So if you forget how to do that, you can go to your CodePen account. You can create a pen. You can name this something like Virtual Doctor right away. You'll save it right off the bat. And we are going to turn in this assignment on Google Classroom, which we haven't done in a little while. So before you do anything else, you'll go to Google Classroom, you'll click on the JavaScript Intro Wrap-Up assignment, and you'll go ahead and turn in your assignment here in this space. Once you're done with that, creating this assignment, one more thing I'll point out before I look at some of the requirements. There's a little survey from before spring break. 23 of you completed it. If you didn't complete it, it would be great if you could go and do it now. It's just going to give me some ideas on how well we'll be able to work together in groups and what resources I can do to support you as we do e-learning for the rest of the year. For this assignment, there are 4 main requirements. Number 1, change the basic CSS style of the page by modifying the body tag. Just give me some CSS style on there. Then I want you to create at least 2 buttons that have different function name and perform different jobs in HTML. You can use the example lines of code to help. Let me know if you have